I am so excited because there's this topic I have been sitting on, and there were so many times I wanted to discuss this with everyone, and I was like, do not call anyone, hold this until we go live. And it's come up a couple times in past conversations, I think, with all of you. Um, but, and I wish Raquel was here because I really want her insights. I feel like we're going to need to like do something and like clip it in and be like, and here's Raquel's book. Um, because
Raquel
I
weighs
think
in.
right? Yeah, I think she would enjoy it. But here's the deal. We have been going through a major transformation, right? And I remember like going live myself back in like 2019, 2020, and being like, this is what's going on. This is what astrology says. This is what my guides are showing me, and broadcasting it and helping calm people's fear and things like that. And then it enters the political information. Let's just be honest. When we say information, um, let's, yeah, exactly.
That
Like
could be debatable.
noise,
Yeah.
noise, the political noise, and
Noise.
all this stuff, like everything we've bombarded with in our lives since, because we've been going through this major transformation and this rebirth. It was all kicked off by Pluto, blah, 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 right? We all know that. However, there was like this thought that came and has continued to come, and I think it should be brought back up because people are starting to kind of elevate their panic again, and I hate that for us, right? So I always want to address those types of things. And here's my topic that I want to talk to you guys about: the divide. So when I'm talking about this, the divide is not, I mean, society is society. And everyone who's like, which I personally hate labels, but people are like, oh, don't label me, don't put me in a box. Oh, this is what we call it. And I'm like, you just, I mean,
What just
but the
happened?
Yeah.
reality,
Yeah.
yeah, but the reality is like you need that to be able to like communicate with each other.
Language.
Telepathy is so much easier. There's no labels there. However, it's the divide I'm talking about over the enlightenment journey. Okay, so when we're looking at the noise and the fear, and then all this, like it's exploded into holistic enlightenment, spiritual stuff, you can just sit back and look at the overall architecture of what's going on and be like, there's a divide. That's the divide. It's not it's not all these other things that society is telling you. It when you
Such
really
as
stop and, such as, I would say, I mean, I don't even know if I have enough time to like put something together to scroll through the history of where they're dividing us. But in society, we are being divided based off of political, religion, identity, all those different things. And I mean, generationally, those constructs were never created to divide. They were created as descriptors to communicate. So again, as we elevate, we don't really need that language. And as we continue to evolve, again, telepathy is so much easier and it doesn't even consist of these things. But when we look at, yeah, I'm just going to keep beating that because my God, it is a lot easier. There are people I don't even actually physically get on the phone with. And I'm like, yes, I agree with you. Um, and I'm like, good talk. And yes, I am busy. Thank you. I'm going to keep going with what I'm doing. Um, but when we look at this division that we are seeing now, I see not only previously, but now, like you can actually see it unfolding the last like probably 24 months, maybe 18 for some, but more and more people are evolving. And now there's a division that we've been seeing escalate and elevate. Again, it started with religion, but now I'm also seeing a lot of people stuck in fear and a lot of people stuck in enlightenment. And there is a balance. To me, our intent of being here for resolving our karma is having this physical being in this physical life. But as we are evolving, these types of things are transitioning and changing. And so if you aren't in these spots of coming into enlightenment, journeying down that path of curiosity, starting to embrace your intuition and admit that
Mhm.
that's not a gut feeling, although that's a whole nother topic. But, what are you guys seeing? Because to me, that's the real division. And it's not good and evil. It's not light and dark. It's everyone has a different karmic journey. But
Mm.
what we're seeing is more clarity in this like scoping of it, if you will. Does that make sense?
I think
Because
so.
they don't always make sense. Wendy,
I'm
I freaking love
digesting
your
it.
face.
I'm digesting it. I
Yeah.
think yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big
Okay.
topic.
Right. And there may be like, we could just have some more conversation and like it will unfold as it does. Like this is
Mhm.
Yeah.
just the demonstration of like, oh, like barely a scratch on the surface, because what I'm seeing and noticing is that structures that were built in different areas of evolution, I tend to think about like the heavy density of 2D, 3D into the lighter escalation evolution of 4 or 5, however many Ds you want. But I kind of hang out in the 5 area. Um, so I'm noticing that things, systems, structures, public school, education, like lots, just systemically, societally, like it was built in a time where there were there was far more need for localized. There was not digital, it was mechanical, not technological. Like these
Right.
are like my grandmother in Colorado was making soap and candles in her childhood. So like
Mm.
be cut for a reason. Like she also needed to wake up and get breakfast ready for like 40 men to come and be on the farm and do labor for that day. So like systems that were built then are not able to withstand or withhold. They weren't built for right now.
Mm.
Right.
Right.
Societally, like just like the systems, I think I've mentioned the house that I lived in that was not
Yeah.
grounded, that like there was one room that did not have an electrical outlet. So
Yeah.
it's not going to work for like a family of
Right.
3 with a child and 16 devices.
Yeah. Or
This
even
that's
one
not
person and 16
Yeah.
devices.
Right. Your
right. Like
Coco
if
Collie
they're at
is
all
like
interested
plugged
in
in
a video
everywhere.
game, that's not
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
So, things need an overhaul, and I feel like for me, that is an instance of like, oh, is this systemic? Is this bigger than me?
Mm.
Where am I safe? And is that mine? So this is like very much a boundaries space of conversation for me in terms of what can I do to keep myself from being overwhelmed, because when I'm overwhelmed, terrified, panicking, anxious, and I know who I am in that, my thinking is not great, and I need my
Mhm.
Right.
thinking.
Right.
I need my feelings, but not at the same time I need my thinking.
I'm
Mm.
glad you brought that up because you brought up really good points about these constructs being taken down. Essentially, they have to evolve. And so
Yeah.
we see the noise, like I was saying, of society that is these things changing and going away. Like we were in our pre-funk before we went live, we were talking about the weather. And the question is the weather more awareness? And that's why it seems like there's always weather tragedies, or is it because these things are going away and they need to be reconstructed, right? And it's the same kind of thing. But my big concern, you tied it back to, which is people are so fearful, and you don't need to be. And it's not a
Mm.
race. It is
Mm.
just to embrace it and let that energy flow. And when you do that, you're going to naturally align with where you're supposed to be. And we've talked so much about these things. I think that's a really valid point. I know years ago I had like a huge fear over it when I had the premonition about it. And I was like, what? I couldn't cognize it. I like genuinely was like, nope, not computing. And then I was just like, what do? Fight, flight? Like what's my reaction? I was flee. Uh,
We're gonna
so
bolt. Yeah.
right, yeah, I'm like, nope, rejecting, just dipping. But it everyone's embracing it differently, right? And I've also seen the vision of what that looks like unfolding differently. And I can tell you, like, literally in as short as 6 months ago, I again was like, okay, I'm gonna accept it this time now that you're showing me this, but I don't I can't process it. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what it means. And I had to really lean into it doesn't look like, it doesn't mean, it just is.
Mhm. Is there a place where oh, did I just forget what I was going to say? That's so fun on live.
Right?
That's just fun in life.
Well done. Well done.
Like, I know what it isn't, I think was the part of the thread, but also like figuring it out is not going to help. Like, my brain wants so much to figure it out and have the security in that. And it's not like, this is not a moment of figuring it out. This is a moment of deep and terrible discomfort.
Yeah.
Temporarily.
For your
And
evolution.
right, this also will pass, and the next right thing, indicator, option, decision, choice, it's honest. Like, can I be calm enough to receive what the next right thing is, whether I'm thinking it, doing it, trying it, navigating it, but I can't figure out the whole thing from here in this 1 minute.
It's so hard to lean into because it's a, like as humans, we have that mental logic construct, and then we also have that emotional experience. And
But I
trying
think
to put it in that framework. Yeah, go ahead.
the
Tell me what you
vision
think.
is the logical construct. Like
Really?
in any shape, fashion, or form, thinking logically creates division. It's our critical thinking, it's our assessment, judgment, like whatever language we want to use to describe that process where we observe something, try to identify with it, relate with it, understand it, dissect it. That is what causes that division. And then this gets magnified when we look at groups and all of the different, look, it's funny. I feel like, at the top of this conversation, I thought, well, I was raised understanding that there is division. And so in my journey, my personal journey, it has been recognizing that I choose unity. I choose the collective. I choose to look past, to not think logically when it comes to opportunities to live in the space of division. And I needed to do that for my sanity. And so in that, like, there's an intimate relationship with it, and realizing how can we be at choice or not at choice when it comes to it. There's things that are, MAGA, like greater and bigger than ourselves. And then there's that seed that we can resonate with it and dial into those conversations because we recognize it within ourselves. It's, gosh, there's just so many examples of how this shows up in the school life, in corporate life. I mean, it's just, are you part of the it crowd or the not it crowd? Are you part of the haves or the haves not? There's just so many ways that it continues to show up. And we can say that it's a they who are doing this to us. There's those conversations, but there's also that conversation of, am I doing it to myself? How might I be perpetuating it through my attachment to a logical thought stream related to, and then pick an area, just like find the map, point a finger and see where it lands, because odds are we're having that experience on anything we choose, wherever we land.
It's so interesting, the concepts of and the subtleties of perspective, and logic, right? Like I often will need to zoom out, and like everybody's been taught to think or not taught to think very differently, like radically different tools, some of which I don't really consider a tool, but that's my experience, that's my perspective, that's also my limitation of not understanding or not wanting to understand. Like I don't want to understand that tool. Thanks.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I know I used to always, I remember, especially like in my 20s, it was very common for me to say, I reject your reality. Because people would like throw out these ideas and these thoughts, and I didn't really have an understanding of mine. But I remember just being like, no, I reject your reality. And then when I got into my 30s, I remembered like that shifting and not really realizing it until after the fact, when I would hear things that I didn't necessarily align with this linear, like logic construct that I was being forced into, that we all have been, forced into regardless of your experience, and being like, oh, no, I have my own reality. This is my reality. I actually have a sign in the house that says, what is it? It's funny. It just sits there all the time because it's like right there. It's like a banner in my kitchen, and it says, oh, don't worry. Like this is my reality, and all the people here with me know it. And it's really funny because it was like, yeah, Coca-Cola can laugh because there is no one here. But it is that thing of like you evolve, and I think people are rapidly going through this, right? Like for me, it was this decade. I was saying, I reject your reality. I'm discovering mine. And then in my 30s going, I know my reality. And I was like, good luck with yours. Genuinely. Not like crass, just genuinely like, good luck with yours. Like, I hope that works out or that it evolves or whatever. But now, now I'm like, reality. All these silly things.
Can't be pinned down. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and it's interesting too, Coca-Cola, what I was also gonna mention, and I'm not sure like what this has to do with anything other than like saying it out loud, is like, what's the logic based on?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's some history that we as a collective on this globe don't know the whole of. And I think we're discovering that, and we're maybe not liking all of it.
Right. Right. This just makes me think about the journey of human nature. Like we all go through, stages of life, stages of evolution within ourselves, within our own lifetime. And I appreciate experiences that put you in a crucible where you experience all the stages and phases of life and relationships, like in a concentrated period of time. Like you can go to a retreat and in a weekend or a week or a month, experience all the things. And this is where we can have these incredible, radiant growth spurts, right? But usually we're just clocking in, day out. And so it happens slowly over time and it creeps up on us. I recently have been contemplating for a long time. I had the same goals, the same aims, the same desires that I was working towards, striving towards. And then I've had this opportunity to pause and focus on my growth. And then now looking back, I'm like, I've changed. My desires have changed. My aims have changed. The constructs with which I want to create my new reality has shifted. And let me focus on my inner world, on my inner space, and on my creations. And in that space, there's less concern about division. Like it's all about, because if I'm going through this and I have self-compassion, then it's creating this space of compassion for others that is recognizing, like, I see in you that you are going through that growth spurt. and that sometimes it takes so long. It's so slow. It's like a 20 or 30 or 40-year span that we're going through a growth phase. And then sometimes it's 2 days. Right?
Those are always the
And
funnest.
Oh.
yes. And it just, and so I'm starting to recognize that my focus has shifted more towards that space and direction rather than and avoid, I will acknowledge I avoid the noise of what the media, social media, whatever form it is trying to tell me about what division looks like or what chaos looks like or what trauma looks like or whatnot. Because quite frankly, my nervous system can't take it. Like I have to focus on all of those things that are just showing up in my own life and that of the lives of people nearest and dearest to me. And for me, that's enough. And then I, in the sight of that space, get to choose love.
Mm.
I'm not always
Emma?
there. I and I don't know if it's just where I am in my life, but I still feel like I can get, it's actually been a theme. Like maybe because I'm an Aries, I can get very angry. And I think sometimes when I look at the world, I can be in anger, I can be in judgment, I can be in the divide of like, how do you like, to what I see is the good, and I'm fully admitting it's not, it's a little effed up, but I'm like, I'm on this side and you're on this side, and how do you not see? And I want to shake you, I want to scream, and I want to rage at the state of the world.
Yeah.
So I'm still in that, and I also can fall into overwhelm and fear, and also know that everything needs to be burned, and I believe that, but also what does that look like? But also having great people in my life who talk to me, they're like, no, it's going to get bad, but then it's going to get good. And I'm like, okay, I trust you. I do trust you. But right now I'm in.
Right.
And I think I go through ebbs and flows and dips where like Coca-Cola, like my nervous system can't always take it. And I need to just tune out. And I also, I get confused sometimes about how much to be in and out. But it's interesting too. I see it also. Yeah, I see it also with my clients on a smaller scale of their discomfort in changing, and it reminds me of all of us, of like the discomfort in the change that is begging to be birthed, and it gives me a bit more compassion because I see it so often. But then I also see, as you said, sometimes it can take years, sometimes it can take days. And so when I see a client say, oh my God, I moved through this in days, I'm like, and yeah, it was uncomfortable, but you did it, but we did it. Another thought too about divine, I think Coca-Cola, you said the word unity a little while ago. I've been studying Kabbalah for the past year or so more intensely. And a word that he brings up often is unity, and where we can find unity in all areas of our lives. And I've been really sitting with that because, again, I can fall into the anger, into the rage. And I don't want to be in that, because I do want to approach all of this with compassion and love. So yeah, I'm digesting this conversation more because I don't feel like I have answers. So I'm like, I'm still in it and figuring this out. And I don't know, but I also know everything needs to crumble, and it's weird and uncomfortable. But like we and I can feel it. Like I'm very in tune with just energy around me and people around me. And there's days I don't want to get out of bed, and I'm like, okay, but we must keep on.
What if this is based on what you just said, and it struck me because I've had this conversation actually with my husband, and what if this space of the processing the feelings and finding the balance of this transition, what if it's not focusing, I mean, obviously you're going to deal with the feelings, you're going to deal with like the brain, you're going to integrate this throughout your whole system, right? But what if the whole goal of this current time that is so painful, I mean, I'm just going to say it, right? It is. It's painful for everyone to make this transition because, like Wendy brought up, it's not a construct we're familiar with,
Yeah.
at least in this life. And so we're having to learn all these things and unlearn all these things. What if the whole point is we're just getting you ready for balance so you're prepared
Mm.
for the blessing at the end or the experience at the end, right? Like it's not, yeah, like to your point, the hard part is having this experience, but that way we have this release where it frees us from the construct that we're in so that we
Mm.
can step into that next experience. Even though the next
100%.
experience will probably go to this very similar like thing in a different way, where we'll be
Mhm.
Yeah.
like, now what is going on?
Right,
But
right.
we can't even process it. We can't even
Yeah.
wrap our heads around it, our emotions around it. Like we can't get there. And so we have to go through this experience to be able to be ready to
Yeah.
intake what's coming.
Mhm.
I like that. I like that.
100%. Love it.
And it sounds like, I mean, what I notice around me too is that there are a lot of people who are in some form of shock about the state of things, whether it's personal or collective or national, whatever it is. But like, I don't know that there's enough care being given to like people on an individual level. Like we haven't been taught
Mm.
to like, oh, I think I'm in shock, like self-identification of what shock is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Like I don't see a whole lot of self-appreciation or self-crediting in terms of, oh, I'm totally in shock. And it could be that I've been in shock for a while because like,
Mm.
you know, it's not productive. It's not part of like the value system of the US at this time in terms of work, that kind of crap, which is also a construct. But like the self-identification and the self-care, like where beyond bubble baths, like I'm in shock. Like I need to be like wrapped up in safety for the next 1 minute
Yeah.
and be here.
For a year.
Mhm. Yeah, right.
Wendy, I think you're onto something. And I think that it does get talked about, but sadly, it gets lumped in because these are areas that we're unfamiliar with. So it just gets dumped into this category of depression,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And all of these
Yes.
different various forms, because we don't know how to treat it. The last thing we suggest is self-care.
Mm.
I mean, there are people who are like, well, you've got to take care of yourself. But it
And
often
yeah.
comes out as empty words, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what does that mean? How do I do that? Like,
Right.
Maxing out your credit
I'm
card,
not,
baby.
I'm not, I'm not
Yeah.
feeling enough right now. I'm not capable of feeling enough right now to understand how to do that or what that means, or even what my very next step needs to
Yeah.
be.
I don't even know where to start. Yeah.
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 What if it's
And
all, again, like I know, like I'm just throwing kind of things out here, but as we're thinking this through, it is, this just made me think of it when you said it, Coco Collie. It is an attack on the nervous system. It is,
Mm.
and that is part of our physical experience as
Mm.
human beings that is ready to evolve. So is this whole thing so that we finally like shed that so that we can really shine and be able to show up and have these other experiences?
You know, you bring up a very good point. And I think that we're taught to disassociate from our nervous systems,
okay.
and that the time is now for us to reconnect and understand how what we see, how what we put in front of our eyes and what we put into our ears and what we put into our bodies, all of this impacts our nervous system and how we're able to process and digest life. And we need to be more mindful, more careful, more compassionate, more intentional about what we ingest so that we can have the most balanced, harmonious way of processing what we experience in life, because that's the thing we can't necessarily control. Good things will happen, challenging things will happen, freaking bad things will happen. But how we're able to process that is directly linked to the strength of the relationship with our nervous system. And the more we're able to get education on what that looks like, and then steps for how to be in the moment when XYZ is happening, the more access we have to pulling through to that place, like you described, Jessica, where we find balance, like this experience strengthened us so that we know how to handle whatever comes up next.
Do you think that the first step for people is to just start embracing so, like more of the different types of meditation, more of the different types of yoga or Kuan Yin, where it's really focusing on being present, understanding, and recognizing? Because this made me think of it from your disassociation, right?
Mm.
Recognizing my elbow hurts, I have no idea why, and then spending the time to actually go, huh, I had an emotional experience, and this is where it manifested,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then unpacking that so that it releases it out of the all those memory systems we have,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that and working more in harmony, because we know this, right? Like, you do not get released from the pain until you lean in and accept it. That's
Right.
just how it is, right? Or an experience. You don't get to remove from that experience until you really integrate it. So is it just that simple that, you hear a lot of this mindfulness, you hear a lot of this like energy type exercise therapy things. Is it just leaning into that as a starter of like, you don't got to touch your toes. You don't have to stand there in a pose with your arms hanging out there. It's
Right.
leaning into awareness there that is your system.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me, everybody. I know somebody else probably wants to talk, but
I know.
Get in there. We all will.
I love
Get
it.
in there. Yeah.
Yes, and I have a yes, and
It's
Do it.
improv.
what do
Yes,
you have to say? What do you have to say to the people who are like, that's nonsense, I don't believe that crap?
That's a good question. What I think that I would say is, well, how's your current situation working out for you?
You are talking to me right now. So
Yeah.
Also, I would say part of that, I think the next stage of that conversation is, how do we, those of us in this conversation, both in here in the plot and beyond, how do those of us in this conversation help others recognize that they can access exactly what you're talking about, Jessica: mindfulness, meditation, self-awareness, self-compassion, all of these things through these practices, but they can access these practices through that which is familiar to them. So if they're uncomfortable with the concept of meditation or energy or whatever, but they're comfortable with nature, that there is a way for them to access that what you're describing through nature.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Maybe they're
really like
like,
that.
Mm-hmm. I think with also, yes, and with the premise that, like, how can I make better friends with my body? Like, we walk around in this modern time in where I'm at, what I'm noticing, embrained and not embodied.
yeah,
And so, like,
Yes.
pulling the, balloon string of my brain down to reattach at the neck or the chest, like, actually, we're a unit. I'm not just like being conveyed around by my body. I'm not just my body is not a conveyor for my head.
right,
Like,
right.
how do I make better friends with my overall system? And this is why the nervous system is having such a revolution.
Yeah. And if people
Yeah,
even don't know how to feel, I was working with someone once, she's like, what if I don't know what I'm feeling?
Uh-huh.
And they're, and I, again, bring
Uh-huh.
in the body. And I said, just start with sensations. Like, it
Mm.
doesn't have to be a feeling right now. There's a sensation of heat in my belly or tightness in my chest. I think it's true. Like, I think meeting people where they're at of, okay, we know all the different ways to access mindfulness, to access meditation. It doesn't have to be what people have seen. You know, like for me, I meditate when I go for a walk. Like for me, that is my, like, I am in a zone when that is happening. Yes, I sit and do the other ones too, but I think what I would say to most people is somehow, Wendy, what you're saying is bring in your body, like bring in your body in whatever way that you can. And it's
I
always
love that
something
phrase. Yeah.
yeah, it's so, I love that the nervous system is getting more attention these days. And I always say though, it's so funny to me because I think actors are just the original like meditators, mindfulness. They are in, especially theater trained actors, properly theater trained actors. I'm just gonna
division.
It's true.
Perspective.
Perspective. It's true. And so I saw this play last night where I didn't understand the language. It was in Catalan. I'm here in Barcelona, and I've seen plays in other languages, and I don't need to know the words. Yes, I think words are powerful and important and everything, but it's the body. It's the body.
Yeah.
That's how we relate to one another. That's how we relate to ourselves, is through the body. So I think however people can, a few things, as you said, Jessica, like the question of what people can do right now, I think it's somehow having that kind of present practice, how to get present, bring in your body. But I think also community. I think we can't go through, as you said, everything happening is so painful, and we're not supposed to do it alone. We can't do it alone.
Right.
That kind of is the opposite of a collective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think we're moving, and I think people are realizing that, like, we've lived in such an individualistic world, you know, and that's part of the reason I love to travel. You know, when I'm in the West, it's what can I get and what can you get, I can get from you, and what can I gain? And I go to the East, or countries in the East, and it's, okay, we are all a family still living in one house, and how can I respect my elders, and what can I do for the family? And I've learned so much from having family members in my life from other cultures and then travel. And yeah, I just think that is the future, even though it's already also been the present for so many cultures. But I feel like it's going to become the future for the majority of all of us.
Love that. I love that framework of cross-cultural like interactions, and that idea of just being open to seeing how else this might look as an exploration. Like maybe that also could be a next step, right? Is just having curiosity about how else might this look.
There's some humility to that, which is a definite delight, and ego puncturing at the same time. So, right?
Wendy,
like
you have such a way with words.
We don't have it all figured out. And so like allowing for like, set the pride aside, the egoic pride aside, in order to like experience a different way or a different form, or like I love the prospect of watching live theater in a language that is not, I have no idea, like that is an experience. That's not just entertainment, that's an experience. And I feel like that is a really beautiful way to observe life that's happening as well. Like not my life perhaps, but I'm engaged in a way, or I'm inviting myself in a way that's like a total mark of generosity, and also openness to seeing how else it can be done. What else can be done? How else is it already being done? So it's not all up to like a lot of pressure on the mind to figure it out. Figuring it out is over fucking rated.
It's true.
Yes. Right? Yeah. Sorry, Virgos. The
Virgo rising. Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay, so Wendy, I'm going to say this because I know that you will, it's one of your gifts. You'll make it sound cool. So what, when you're talking about the ego and the pride, and like, it's all about the brain and how the brain functions, right? So when I think of that, like I'm a highly visual person, I'm better at seeing than words. Although I do talk a lot, I just don't know if it always makes sense.
It totally works.
Right? Yeah, here for it. You guys are like so generous. I'm like, let me just tell this really long thing, and at the end, it'll be a point that makes no sense to what I just said. Um, but when I'm thinking this, like the thing that pops into my head just based off of my own experience of knowledge of the brain, is, we've got this part where, like, are you choosing fear or are you choosing happiness? And it's because when you're choosing fear, how your system works, your breath shortens, right? So now we're hitting that. Then what does that do? It triggers your system to start releasing hormones of panic because we're unclear, we're unsure. This is all the brain controlling you. And then we start getting that flood of blood into our brain, which is slowing down all the neuron receptors. And when that happens, we leave the frontal lobe, we go back to that reptilian part of our brain, the lower vibrational level of our brain. And it's harder to make decisions. It's harder to process. You want to fight, you want to freeze, you want to react, there's the whole thing. I'm not going to go into that. But if you're working from a place of happiness and leaning into the experience, that block you're talking about of setting the pride aside, it's already set aside because you're accepting information, because that whole process of your breath changing, your body getting tenser, the blood flooding your brain, causing you to leave your frontal lobe, your higher brain capacity and cognitivity, that is processing all of this so that it actually seeds through your whole system. So I'm like, thinking about what you said and just having this like split second visualization that took me like 5 minutes to explain. But when you're going through that, thank you. When you're going through that, if you're able to stay in a place of peace, bliss, happiness, neutralness, and not having that other response that is triggering your system, that is blocking you from actually having the full experience.
Right. So how do we train for that? I think that really is the question it comes back to, right? How do we train for happiness?
I don't know that happiness is the goal.
I would agree.
I think, like, how do I get, like, if I can identify that I'm unregulated, which is already a big job. Like, oh, my heart is racing, like starting to sweat, perspire, glow, whatever.
Right?
Call it what you want.
Got a little
Sweat
dewy.
I'm like,
is in this
it's
body.
gross.
Like,
What's happening?
right, right. Not just because it's 100 degrees outside, but like, okay, I feel threatened. I feel scared. This is already work that we're doing, but often in the West, it is not credited. Yeah. And we're the ones who have to give the credit to ourselves, which is self-care.
Yeah.
Like, I know my nails are painted, but I don't count that as self-care personally. No. I count that as entertainment. Exactly. So, like, okay, what is going on here? Yeah. What is going on here? And let that be work that you get credit for. Very difficult.
Do you want to go?
No, go on. Go on.
No, I love this example of the nails because it's like, it is entertainment, but for a lot of people, it's also the only 15 minutes they can give themselves. Right. And so that then becomes that space where they can be like, okay, let me take a deep breath. Let me reconnect with, okay, maybe I can't control that thing and I'm feeling this stuff, but I can breathe, I can paint my nails, and I can figure out a way to carry on. What might that next step be? And being able to honor ourselves and not be divisive within ourselves. Like, be completely self-accepting, like you're describing, with a whole different set of beautiful words, Wendy, but recognizing the state I'm in and what is showing up and accepting myself for it, instead of naturally going into that place of I'm wrong, that self-judgment, that self-criticism that says I shouldn't be feeling this way. I shouldn't be thinking this way. I shouldn't have this reaction. I should be better than this. All of these things, to be able to get to a space of putting that aside and just embracing oneself in the here and now, whatever is showing up.
Yeah.
And you can call self-care whatever you want. You can include self-care in whatever you want. Like, that's fine. Like, for me, it's entertainment. And so I feel like this is also an unspoken thing of, like, some people are in a space of, like, self-care is exactly this. For some people, a manicure is gender affirming, and that's what it needs to be for them. The for me is often unspoken. And so when we say, like, hey, it's this, that means it's this for me.
Right.
And you can have it for you, that strong, that firm. And also in that instance where you're like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get my, like, hands, like my cuticles and this, but you've already had the experience of I'm doing this for my body several times.
Right.
I'm taking care of this because my body, I need more regulation, and this is my path to getting it. It does look like a manicure. It does look like a pedicure. It does look like a bubble bath for me at this moment, but you've already done the work that is unspoken, invisible, internal, that is, this is the path to that. And here's how I am disengaging from I have to, should, it needs to be, it doesn't look like, blah, blah, blah. And giving yourself credit for, like, you've already done it.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I have to add to that, because especially, I'm so sorry. I actually have some bugs on me right now, little stink bugs, and I'm trying to, like, capture them and put them
I
on my
had a
desk
little
so they can go
bug.
find a new life. Yeah. I'm like, oh, look, let's get you a new life and you a new life.
You're so gentle. I'm like, insects, panic.
I know.
I'm like, aw.
Oh,
But
that's
you
spiritual
guys,
giant. Yeah.
The other day I actually walked through a spider web and they were, like, hanging all over, and I was like sitting here doing the same thing. And Mike comes in, he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm gonna have so many spiders in here. I'm like, I'm just trying to get them all where they won't get killed. You know, I think that is such a huge part of some of my own journey I had, of a lot of the things we've brought up today, the disassociation, the labeling it what it is for you, and the experience of the body with that, because the body and mind work in conjunction with your higher self, right? And your energy. And it speaks so much to me as I, like, kind of wrap around everything, which I just am having this idea. A perfect thing that you said that I really love is what you're doing and how you're processing that is how it is for you. So some people go to a spa and get these bougie spa treatments, and some of people do it for a variety of reasons, right? It might not be self-care. For other people, it might be self-care. For other people, it might be, like in my case, I frequently go get massages. I frequently go get facials. Same place. The massage is, this body needs this love right now, and I don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to go get a massage. And I do that every month, is like a tune up. And she's really great. She'll check my energy and be like, oh, yep, right here. And I'm like, yep, want to breathe through that? Because that's why I'm here. But the facial experience is a completely different experience for me. And that, to me, is what I think most people consider self-care. Do I, like, need it? Do I like it? Yeah, it's super fun. And it's like a whole different experience of relaxing. And one of the things that it really did for me that I did not anticipate was helping me have awareness of my nervous system in my face and how ungentle I was being to it.
Mm.
And then it made me like unpacking that go, do I have an issue? Like, do I have a negative thought or feeling about my face because the way I'm treating it?
Oh,
And it really, yeah. And I've had like tons of face problems, meaning like when I was little, I actually had my face like bashed in and had to have it reconstructed over here. And you would never know. Great job, especially back in that day. That was a good
right.
surgeon.
Yeah.
But you know, like there's things like that throughout life that have happened, and it made it having a facial unpack that. So if you're painting your nails, if you're writing a book, because my true self-care is thinking and writing books, right? She knows this. She's come through that journey with me. But it's whatever the self-care is for you, or the feeling you have of leaning into something, lean into it and do it and experience it and see what comes out of it. And that's a long stretch from where we started today with, hey, y'all seeing a divide between enlightenment and fear? People willing to transition and transform and people not. And it all comes back to your individual choices and how you're processing this experience, this body you are in, this lifetime you are in, all of the experience of now is what is a part of that. And I think that the whole point to me is, and I'm happy to hear others, it is be present for that. It doesn't matter which path you take.
Right.
It's just the right one for you. And for
Right.
all the people who are spiritual healers, spiritual practitioners, holistic healing, anyone who is embarking and embracing this journey where you're helping others, everyone is in their point and stage at a time for a reason, because there's people out there to connect you together. So lean
Yeah.
into that. And don't compare yourself to other people who have been doing it or are doing it, because you are getting that nudge for a reason. And why not just help society? Okay,
You know, yeah, I totally just want to tag on to that, because
yeah.
specifically in speaking to energy healers and practitioners, and this idea that, we're all chosen to be on this path, right? We're all placed here at this lifetime, at this time, to do certain work. And yet we are confronted every day with, dare I say, opposition.
Mhm.
People who are operating at such a vastly different state of consciousness. And that triggers emotion in us, right? It triggers frustration and anger and fear and all of these things. And so I just want to say to that, let us remember who we are, because those people, those parties, those situations are crossing our path because they need our healing energy, right? They need our touch. So even though it's important for us to experience whatever it is we're experiencing, uh, whatever way we can, if we can come through to the other side where we radiate our light into that situation, and we don't have to do that by confronting or by saying anything, just connecting with your essential self, your essential purpose, your essential way of transmitting energy. And remember to transmit that light into that situation, because maybe they're showing up on your path with their confusion, illusion, delusion, anger, hate, whatever it is, just so that they could receive your medicine.
And on that note,
I know.
Does she disagree?
She is attacking Abby. So Sedona is this one. She's
Agreement
my
crowd,
fire.
disagreement crowd. No.
Yeah. And she
Feed the
strongly
baby. Feed the baby.
Yeah. And Abby went and laid down because she just got put in her place. Abby, for context of our audience, is an 85-pound griffon. And obviously, Sedona has a vendetta with her, and Abby's Earth. So Sedona attacks her beard, jumps up, and grabs the bottom of Abby's
Oh.
beard. Abby came over to get a pet. and Sedona was offended that
Aw.
she didn't touch the human, and she's now in her place and laying back down at my feet.
Oh my
So
gosh.
good.
So,
So good.
Animal life. I love them and their
Oh.
personalities.
oh my gosh, I so do too.
Mhm.
I have this new thing where I'm letting Mama Cat. Mama Cat's the cat that just showed up and had all the kittens. We just called her the Mama Cat
Aw.
because Mike and I couldn't agree on a name. But Mama Cat, like, totally is like definitely my cat now. When she like sneaks in to my office and I'll like look back here and she'll be on the couch. There's like these little beds all around here and around my whole desk. And she'll be in like one of these beds and she just stays so quiet and as happy as can be just to be
Mhm.
inside. It is the funniest thing. And so it's the thing is that she sneaks in now, and I'm going to show you this picture. This is so derailing, and this is more of like what happens when we just start talking. But this is hilarious. Let's see if I can get this for you.
Oh, okay, okay. I see cat head.
Yeah,
Oh, and a
she's
tail.
asleep.
Pretty happy.
Yeah,
Is she
her little
upside down?
head, and she's in the sloth bed. She just hides in there. And that's like her new thing. And the dogs have now accepted it. They're just like the cat's in the house, damn it.
Oh, the cat's
So
part of our family.
Aw.
yeah,
She's sleeping in a bed where I'm not right now. I see that.
Sedona once tried to crawl in there with her, and I was like, well, I mean, you both can fit. You're tiny, but the cat's like twice the size of Sedona.
So funny.
Anyways,
So
There's a cuddle.
yeah. Sorry. Thank you for amusing me for that hot minute while I share animal stories. It's just hard to ignore when they're attacking each
Love
other.
it.
right up in you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so good.
Love it. Love it.
Well,
Thanks
this
for a
was
great
amazing.
chat today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
agreed.
Glad.
Agreed.
And we will see you all next week. Goodbye.